what I think is going to happen is I think that we were getting ready to break out to the upside here. The New Zealand dollar, the New Zealand central bank came into the picture, said they're not going to lower rates in 2020. The market priced that in immediately, but the support held. Now we're coming back up, and now we're at that important point. I'm waiting if we get above here. If we get above this resistance where we tested, that was support, resistance, resistance. Here it broke out, breakout failed. All right. If we come back up here and break out above this again, test, and then go up, I'm looking to take that trade to the long side. What's going on? I want to take a look at this with you. It's much easier than typing back and forth, and I did that before the live stream today. Just getting back to you, I want to take a look at this with you on video right now. We could take a look at this nice, I really enjoyed you pointing out this analysis. It wasn't something that I was watching, and I see here that you have this trend line here with this 3 rejections, and you were focused in on the trend line break and then the 3 rejections. All right. What I was trying to say to you, and I'm going to look at my chart of this with you in a second here on the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, and go over it with you on my chart as well. But before I do that, there's a couple of things that I do want to point out. The first is good. This is the first setup you're sending over, and this is the only way to learn. Okay. Doesn't matter if you're right or wrong. Okay. It's just starting the process. Now, that being said, all right, I want to affirm that. I like the fact that you sent me this over here. This is really good insight, okay? Now, the things that I was talking about in the email were that the way to play this would be if you were to come up against this resistance over here, right? To this resistance over here, the horizontal one you have here, and were rejected, you could trade that to the downside. Now, you were focused over here on these rejections of this trend line. So I'm gonna get into that with you in a moment. The other thing I was pointing out was if you get below this other horizontal line over here, you could wait for the breakdown. And if you get that successful retest, play the resumption downwards. All right. Those are just a couple of things I just wanted to point out to you. But just so you understand, if you get rejected by this trend line up here, this horizontal line, because it's a pretty strong resistance line. I'm going to show you on my chart that it's a strong resistance. It is strong resistance. You have the strong resistance question mark. This is a very strong resistance. And if you came up to it and were rejected by it, that would be a very good opportunity to short. If this support over here broke and then you had the opportunity to get in, that's a good entry. Now, what about this? All right, let's get into this part right now. All right, I'm going to go over to my chart. All right, first of all, before we get into this, I want you to focus here. This is the strong resistance that you pointed out. You were asking if it's strong or not. It is very strong. You've had a couple of touches over it. The support right under it, oh, I'm sorry, I apologize. This is the line below it that you're asking is strong support. And it's also pretty strong support, all right? But the one above it is a bigger resistance area. Price came into it once, twice. Here it looked like it was breaking out. This is really important to focus on. It looked like it was breaking out here, right? And Peter, this whole thing looks like a bottoming pattern, right? This has been in a downtrend. Here was the break of the trend line, and then this looks like it's bottoming for a long time now, since December. And it looked like it was breaking out here above this resistance. But then the New Zealand central bank met Tuesday evening, New York time at least, and then the New Zealand dollar appreciated really very strongly on the central bank saying they're not going to lower rates in 2020 and came right back down into the support area. This is support. All right. And this support held. That's strong support. Look at it. Okay. That's a big level. It's held over here. If we get back above this strong resistance up here, the top one, I think that I'm gonna play the breakout to the upside, and I think that this was a long-term bottoming pattern. Right now, because of what happened on Tuesday, you're right looking over here. Okay. What I don't like is the way that you drew this in. You see, you have a trend line connecting these tops, and then you have this trend line. Channels run parallel. All right. So here, you could come over to here, and you could go to parallel channel. All right, if you're using MetaTrader 4, then not, but you could still learn it and visualize it. I'm connecting 2 points. All right, and then I'm dropping it down. All right, over here was a breakout. This was a breakout out of the channel and of this resistance. It failed. That's why we don't play the breakouts. What do? We wait for the breakout, we wait for the retest, and if it's successful and price resumes upwards, we get into the trade. That's exactly why we don't play breakouts. But that's what that was. This was a false breakout outside of the channel. That's why you're not connecting your line like this. All right, that's why you're not looking to do this. This is a false break. All right, you don't connect over here. This held in the channel. It didn't close outside the channel. All right, now let's focus in over here though, because this line is important that you drew in, and it's not something that I was focusing on. I'm so glad you brought it to my attention. And you're right. So far, it's acting as resistance. This support broken is now acting as resistance. Now zoom out. Let's get a clearer view. Where do you want to take that trade? Are you looking to short if price makes a lower low here? If price, look, the one that you asked here, is this strong resistance? Okay, it is a decent resistance. Okay, it is a strong resistance. This one up here happens to be stronger, but this is an important resistance level. And you could see that we're kind of being rejected off of both here. So if price during London or New York comes down and makes a lower low, do you want to take that trade? Maybe. It might be a good trade, to be honest. Whether or not it's perfect, you're in a tight range over here. We're back into this tight range over here. I don't know. If we wind up taking out, if you get into the trade up here though, Peter, your risk is over here. Your stop loss would be above this resistance, not above this one. It's too far away, I think. I think you would have your stop above this one, right? And if you're stopped out, your risk reward going into this support is about 1-to-1, which is okay because you're looking to see if this breaks, right? If you took this entry, if price started making a lower low and price went ahead and tested the support, you'd move your stop to break even. You now have a free trade. You now have a free trade on your hands. If this support breaks, then you're holding a very good trade that's going to probably come down and test down into here. Okay? Now, what I think is going to happen is I think that we were getting ready to break out to the upside here. The New Zealand dollar, the New Zealand central bank came into the picture, said they're not going to lower rates in 2020. The market priced that in immediately, but the support held. Now we're coming back up, and now we're at that important point. I'm waiting if we get above here. If we get above this resistance where we tested, that was support, resistance, resistance. Here it broke out, breakout failed. All right. If we come back up here and break out above this again, test, and then go up, I'm looking to take that trade to the long side because I think this is a bottom being put in place. Now, that's one way of looking at the trade. Let's see how you're looking at the trade. You're seeing that price broke down out of this trend line. Here's the trend line. It broke out of the trend line, has come up, and is now testing this resistance. If it's rejected, you want to take that entry, right? It's a good trade. It's about a 1-to-1 risk reward. That's okay because you're just moving your stop to break even right away, right? If you do break here, you have a great trade on your hands if you break that support. Now, adversely, I'm not looking to trade in this area, in this zone, because look at this zone. It's been a lot of supply and demand. All right, we're back in it now after the false breakout. What I'm looking to happen is to see if we break down here. If we break below this support, get a retest, this broken support is now resistance, and price resumes downwards, then I'm looking to this trade because my take profit that I'm first looking at is all the way down here. It's all the way down here. My risk reward going to this trade clean is pretty good. I would say it's 1-to-2 just going into the support level. We'll see what happens down there. All right, so I'm watching the trade myself in two different areas. I'm watching it above this resistance if we get another breakout, or below this support, a breakdown, what you're looking at, good. I see it, and I like where your eyes are. Okay, well, I think that's a pretty good analysis of what you're seeing and a good explanation. All right, talk to you later.